Hi, I'm Rigger. This is Your Right, and I totally didn't just want an excuse to use that thumbnail. Before we begin, be sure to like the video if you like it, share anything others would like it, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe if you want to see more. So, Maria, what are we doing with Maria? That's basically all of this. The last time we saw her, she was drifting aimlessly with Pietro on Amity Arena. One stabilizer was damaged, and there didn't seem to be another way down for them. So, I had simply assumed that Crow and Robin would pick them up before leaving, and while we didn't see that, I wouldn't be surprised if we cut back to that ship and see them there anyway. That's the most logical answer of how to just include them and sort of forget this whole thing. They certainly could reasonably do that and fill in that blank off screen, it wouldn't be far-fetched. I'm not making it a secret, this video was meant to be creating a cool, crazy idea for Maria going forward, but the truth is, I don't really have one. I've stood on it for a while, and I have nothing, which leads me to the crux of this question. What are we doing with Maria, and Pietro and Amity and all that? It just got forgotten, so what do we have? Why does it all still exist? Why does Maria still exist? She's fulfilled everything she has to do as a character as far as we know. I know, it's a harsh question, and perhaps an unfair one, but we can't escape it, it still sits there. It's the one loose end from the ending. What is left for this character to gain? What is left for this character to do? What is left for us to achieve? What can she provide for other characters? I'll be honest, my main answer right now that I can land on is that she's just there to be a nice resolution for Pietro. An older age, late romance to help cushion the loss of his daughter and give him someone to live out his life with, provide the two with love and comfort, and finish things out that way. But at the expense of sounding heartless, that's not good enough. Like at all. I mean, let's consider the opposite. If we'd lost her up to now, what could we have gotten? Okay, so, we could have killed her on Amity with Neo, and that would have helped Neo's body count and keep her intimidating, and would have put up more stakes for Cinder holding off Penny, so we could have done that, which also would have fueled how serious Neo's pursuit of RWBY was before we got to the ending, where RWBY was, in danger, in quotes. Or, we could have had her die in the Amity Arena crash, which generally would have been attributed to Cinder, and do the same for her, make her more scary, make us hate her more, and take away more hope. Though honestly, if she returned, she could have died in the general fall of Atlas if they'd made it off Amity back into the city, and boom. Then it means that at least one or two with Pietro long-term characters on screen would have actually been lost in that incident, and it would have given it some direct weight rather than just general destruction with no one we actually know involved. I mean, I know we're meant to imply people died, and not everyone escaped the whole ending, but some named and recognizable person saying that they're on Atlas or in Mantle and died in that explosion would have gone a long way. And I mean more than just Ironwood. Because no matter what you think of Ironwood, narratively at that time, that doesn't carry a whole lot of weight. He was pretty much done anyway. If Maria had done something like stayed behind in Atlas to fend off bad guys or Grimm getting through the portals and ended up being crushed in Mantle or something, that would have been pretty interesting and a pretty heroic way for her to go, especially after the way she talked about herself, the things she wanted for herself, and feeling like she didn't live up and didn't fight to the bitter end, as she put it. Add on to that, even when we met her rivalry with Cordovan. After a multi-year disagreement, Maria does what she claimed was her role and fought for the greater good until the end, and did it protecting the people that her rival championed and was loyal to. As far as a fitting end, that's pretty much as good as you could have gotten there. But that isn't what happened, at least as far as we know. So then we have to face the reality. Maria survived, she's on Amity. What are the possibilities from there? And I guess there's a few. The first of the bunch don't really matter much though. I mean, we go to the crazier options a little bit later, I guess. Basically, one of them is that they crash on the ice and they die. That's as blunt as it can be. No transport, no food, no warmth, no facilities, and two elderly characters who, having aura or not, will not last long in those conditions, and there's Grimm out there, and there's nowhere close to go to since everything exploded, they're just on the ice. Like I said, I really do expected Crow and Robin to have picked them up, and I really would not be put out if that's what they say ended up happening. If they go land in Vacuo or whatever when they arrive, and Maria and Pietro just step off the ship with everyone else, that would make the most sense to me. But exploring more options outside of that, yeah, okay, they're still on Amity with Pietro, and perhaps they can limp it somewhere. Though that's more likely a Haven or a Mistral rather than going all the way down to Vacuo or like Menagerie. Although I will say, we haven't gone into it much. One place they could land that's actually the closest to the bunch is Vital Island. We haven't heard much about it, we haven't been there, it's only been mentioned as that's where the negotiations took place after the war, and maybe where Amity was constructed, or at least the idea for it was before each kingdom contributed their own bits. So I don't know what's on Vital, I don't know if anything is on Vital, but if there is something there, it's a good excuse to land there and learn about it with a little side mission for Maria and Pietro, but I don't think we'll do that, but it's possible. Perhaps Oz left some secret there, back where this all started kind of thing, who knows. But back to her getting places we actually know, I mean, perhaps she should join up with people like Glinda, along with Pietro, to help prepare for war or invasion or whatever might be coming the way of Vale. I guess it wouldn't hurt to have them on hand. I don't know what major role they can play on their own, but I mean, they're there. As for crazier options that they could do on their own, the craziest one I can come up with to satisfy her being on her own with Pietro is that they limp Amity to the Dragon Continent and actually make their way to Salem's castle. Assuming that it's there, of course, but let's keep in mind that anything we do here with Pietro, he has no idea what's happened to Penny at this point. He's assuming she's still in Vacuo, so why wouldn't he be heading there? I can't satisfy that answer. Although I do really enjoy the image of a crazy Maria and a Pietro with nothing left to lose because somehow he knows, I don't know, and they follow Salem and Cinder and presumably the Wave of Grimm back to Salem's base and do something crazy like crash the entire Amity arena into Evernight Castle. It's a great image in my mind. I don't know what would be gained. They would all surely die. Be it by the endless waves of Grimm, or the Impact, or Salem, or Cinder. Though it'd be cool if, on the way there, Pietro managed to fix the place enough that he could put out a beacon so that the world could learn of Salem's location, so when they crash there, it puts out some kind of beacon to all the communication systems. Even though that's not how it's said to work, but whatever. Something crazy happening like no one being home and they crash the building and rescue prisoners like a Summer or whatever and fly the building away is ridiculous, but I kinda like it. It's completely random, unlikely, unmotivated, unexplainable, and would rob the story of what a lot of the other heroes should be doing later, but oh well, we're going through options. Because the other more rational options are things like it's still flying, just limping through the sky, and they remain on it, in which case I guess they slowly starve to death, or if there is a supply on there, they just stay out of danger in a rando part of the sky for the rest of the story for no reason. But there is one crazier option, sort of, that sort of makes sense. You have to fudge it a little bit, but I mean, they're doing that anyway with a lot of the things, so it doesn't really matter. The one crazier option that makes kinda sense that I'm including here for posterity so that it's out there that I said it, is make Amity a transport. If Amity limped to, say, Vale, then huntsmen, teachers, students, etc. all piled into it, it could seemingly hold thousands of people. Think of how big the crowds look to be during the Vital Festival, plus all the open ground that's still in it. So we could make the arena the good guys' Whale, and assuming they had resources and time to fix the stabilizers, etc. in Vale, turn it into more of a transport than an arena, then you could perhaps do a rescue. A last moment, as say Vacuo is under siege by forces of Salem, the cavalry arrives in Amity. Like I said, this doesn't really work right now if they've stated that Amity flies slow and crossing the globe would surely take ages, but Pietro is on board, so maybe he can help with that like I said. Or we could delay this further perhaps, keep this concept but keep it for a later date, and we save that Amity towards the end of the story. And we don't fly it to Vacuo, we get everyone in there, let's say Team RWBY, all the people, we get them into the arena, and we fly it to Evernight Castle with everyone for the final push. Just as Salem brought the whale to us in Volume 8, we, the heroes, take Amity back to her at the end of the story. All the main teams, the side characters, everyone left over, we organize into Amity and we storm the castle. That would actually be quite thematic. Amity was constructed as a sign and celebration of all the kingdoms coming together. To do the same, representing humanity coming together and uniting against Salem for the final fight, also plays into that, working together against evil as one. But bringing it back to more specifically Maria, that also would continue the themes of her characters, talking about feeling like a failure, not fighting to the bitter end, etc., which we've said before. This lets her do that, to lead the charge and organize the invasion at the end, to be with all the other huntsmen and take part in the final push against evil, and most likely go out in that fight, die doing something heroic, give her a big moment. There is no better way to go than fighting for good at the end of all things and going out heroically in the battle for the final push for the heroes to win. Because that's the other thing, Pietro's expertise is mostly useless now. We don't really need him. There's no Penny for him to work on, there's no Atlas for him to do tech stuff with, and nowhere else is really too focused on tech except except for Amity. I can believe that he can outfit and modify it to make it a battle station, like fly faster and have better defenses. So I see this as promising. Let's say it lands in Vale, and by the time we get back to Vale, he's worked with Glinda and all the resources around to turn Amity into a battle station to take the fight to Salem in the end. That could be something. I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch, sure, but so is all of this, so it's a pretty satisfying answer if you were to push for something that's more significant than just she shows up in Vacuo with Crow. Because like I said, I wanted to make a Crazy Maria theory, but honestly I don't see much else, so I had to wonder why she still exists, and this is the best conclusion I came to. But I have to ask, am I missing anything? Her silver eyes are gone, her enlightening lessons is done, it's just RWBY's turn to practice and get used to it. She was famous among huntsmen at one time, but with the message about Salem getting out anyway, that doesn't really matter, we can't use that to pull people together anymore, so it wouldn't make that big of a difference. So my only conclusion is, she's been forgotten to die, she does basically nothing, she just goes to one of the other kingdoms and joins forces there and we see her later. She reappears just on the ground with Crow or whatever and continues to hang around doing basically nothing, or something like this giant crazy wraparound Amity arena plan. So honestly I'm hoping for the latter, either arriving to help in Vacuo with the arena and reinforcements, or as part of the final push where they take the arena across continent to take the fight to Salem in the end. Because I also like that concept makes Amity Arena pretty important, considering how important it has been in our story, honestly. Because it was the centerpiece of Volume 3, where everything changed, and the fall started to happen in Amity with what happened with Pietro and Penny, and the message, and then we've used it again here in 8 to get the message out about Salem. So, using it in the end to take the fight back to Salem, for the people to fight back against that evil with it, is actually pretty thematically fitting, turning this seemingly random landmark into a major player throughout the entire series we didn't see coming, and also that gives Pietro and Maria something to do moving forward, and gives them an ending. I don't know if Pietro would be part of that push in at the end, because, let's be honest, he's not much of a fighter as far as we know, and even if he was, I don't think he'd survive for a very long time in that kind of battle, because that would be the kind of thing where he'd start really killing characters. But Amity would be his contribution anyway, even if he wasn't on the ground, so that still works. And it's better than both of them being in this weird limbo right now where it seems even the show forgot about them. But anyway, that's the video. I know it's a shorter one because it's a odd, very specific question, but I wanted to get my ideas off my chest anyway, and do more pondering and speculation than give anything solid, really. But there's some ideas in here, and more of it is the question I'm opening it up to you. What are your ideas? What do we do with these characters legitimately? Where do we see them playing out in the story? What do they have left to give? And if they don't, then what do we do with them? What do you think of this battle station invasion force idea, be it for Vacuo or at the end of the story towards Salem and Evernight Castle, etc.? Let me know, because I'm very curious. But anyway, until next time, my name is Rigger, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope I did alright.